All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dalton Sullivan. I'm an admission counselor here at Wofford College, and I primarily recruit students in the state of North Carolina. And I'm excited to share a little bit about Wofford with y'all. I'll let my other Wofford ladies introduce themselves as well.
Fix that. Hi, I'm Carolyn Sparks. I am the Associate Vice President for Enrollment and Director of Financial Aid here at Wofford.
Hi everyone, I'm Kenzie Siam. I'm a current sophomore here at Wofford, double majoring in English and Spanish.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. All right, so just a brief rundown of what the campus population kind of looks like. We have just over 1,750 students on campus. We're actually looking to grow that number closer to 1,800 as we move forward. That's just due to the heightened interest we've received from students over the past few years. As a result of that interest, we've been able to build a new freshman dorm on campus, which we're really excited about. So if you ever get the time to come and check campus out, please do. We are open to visitors right now if you want to come see us. Along with that, we have a great geographic diversity on campus. We have 37 states and 22 countries represented on campus. We feel that it's a great way of making sure that various ideas, beliefs, and ideologies are all being able to be represented. And as a whole, we're able to have different perspectives in general come and be represented on campus. That way we're able to have a successful exchange of various ideas. Along with that, we try to stay close to 50-50 when it comes to our population. As you can see, our campus consists of 54% female and 46% male. Likewise, with our in-state and out-of-state students, we also try to stay close to 50-50 as well with that. We're at 57% and 43% out-of-state. You can also see other statistics touching on how we have a 20% population of non-white students. We are very much dedicated to continuing the growing the diversity here at Wofford College. And we'll also get a little more into that when it comes to scholarship opportunities as well as we move forward. All right, so this is a brief rundown of what last year's incoming class freshmen looked like. As you can see, we had over 4,000 applications last year. We had a 53% acceptance rate. A brief rundown of that as well. We have close to 500 students total that we enrolled here at Wofford College. You can see there's a great makeup of students where leadership is definitely something we take into account. We have had 32 yearbook editors, student government leaders. We're a total of 50 last year. You can also see that we are dedicated to maintaining that balance between in-state and out-of-state students. We touched on that a moment ago as well. And also about a third of our students were ranked in the top 10% of their class. So definitely keep that in mind as well. You can see that the average high school GPA was a 3.7, and that is based on a recalculated GPA that we do here at Wofford College. I'm going to go a little more in depth in that as we move forward with this presentation. All right, so here at Wofford College, we are a private liberal arts college where our goal is to develop students into well-rounded individuals who are capable of succeeding in many different areas. So for example, I was a psychology major here at Wofford, but I also took courses in humanities, philosophy, also social sciences like sociology. And the goal of that is to really just diversify your academic experience. So down the road, you'll also be able to be a more successful person in your professional field. So that's the goal of that. Along with that, we have an average class size of 18 students per class. And we actually cap our classrooms at 25 students per class. So we're definitely dedicated to maintaining a smaller classroom environment. There are several benefits to that. And along with it, we have an 11-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So now I'm gonna ask Mackenzie if you could tell me a little bit more about your classroom experience and what that environment is like for you.
Sure, yeah. And just to share a little bit about my background so you understand kind of my perspective and where I'm coming from, I was born and raised in Northeast India, and then I moved to the States when I was 16, and I went to boarding school in a little place called Tappahannock, Virginia. So when I was in school in India, I had that big typical classroom experience. It was about 50 to 60 kids in a class. But then when I went to boarding school, I had the smaller class experience where it was me and about 10 other people in a class. So having both the experiences, I realized that I really was drawn to more of this small classroom size. And so that's exactly why I picked Wofford, one of the top reasons, and something that I've come to find has really improved my academic journey and my academic learning experience. So I've had anywhere in class from that full 25 that we cap students at, or cap classes at, sorry, and I've had anywhere from also me and 3 other people in a class. So you get numbers, but what does that actually mean when you're in a classroom? So that means that you have great relationships with your professors. I always tell this story of how I was overwhelmed in one class, and thankfully because of that relationship I had with my professors, they knew what was going on, and all I could do was like reach out to them, and they understood, and they worked with me. They met with me after hours, especially when COVID hit and we were sent, you know, into online virtual. They worked with us so well because we all knew each other and we understood what each other was going through. And so that also means that you get to develop really good relationships with your classmates as well. And then going back and touching a little bit on that liberal arts experience, that was actually very, very important to me in my college decision. I actually exclusively applied to liberal arts colleges because I truly, truly believe in that holistic experience. And so even though I'm an English and Spanish major, like double major, which is very linguistic, I'm taking an accounting class right now for no other reason than that I wanted to learn more about accounting. I'm also taking a computer science course, which is so out of my depth. But that's a great thing about liberal arts college, is that you get to explore, you get to try these different things. And we do that so intentionally, because I always like to say that life isn't a one-track path after you graduate. You can major in something in college and decide you want to become something completely different after you graduate. And so we make sure by having this liberal arts programming that you get that base so that you can do whatever you want to do after you graduate. So I may be studying grammar all my life, but if I graduate and decide I want to be a biologist, I could switch fields because I've taken that psychology course, that science course, and I know how to do a lab report. And so I have the base. And so that's just a little bit about that.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Kenzie. Along with that, we also have 67 majors and programs available to our students. Some of our most popular consist of course, biology, psychology is especially one, chemistry. We've seen a lot of interest in environmental studies. Kenzie kind of touched on English, that's also a very popular one. Accounting, finance, and business economics, as well as a lot of other social sciences as well. So I encourage you to go to our school's website to get a little more detailed information on those programs available to you. Now, the last bullet point that you see on this PowerPoint slide says that we work on what's called a 414 academic calendar year. I'll break that down by saying it's simply, we work on, we're gonna have your traditional 4 months of education in the fall, 4 in the spring, and in between that, we have something that's called interim that is taking place in the month of January. So I'm gonna talk a little more about that here. All right, so interim is an opportunity for you to take a non-traditional course that is not necessarily associated with your major. There can be very much off the wall opportunities, but there is an academic component to each of them. We'll get to them as we go about them. But here's a few different ways for us to go through that. We have your travel abroad opportunities, your on-campus courses, your independent studies, as well as internship opportunities. A couple of examples for me, my freshman year, I learned about Latin dance. So I got to learn how to bachata, merengue, and salsa. So I finally figured out a little bit of rhythm, which was really neat. And also my junior year, I learned how to become a professional wrestler. You might think I'm kidding, but there's a YouTube link and everything if you need proof. Just shoot me an email if you want to get a hold of that. But those are just a few ideas of the on-campus courses available to students. Kenzie, would you mind sharing with us what projects you've been through so far?
Yeah, interim is hands down my favorite time at Wofford, because it's so nice that you do get to explore something that is completely out of the realm of what you're majoring in. And it's also a great way to meet more people on campus. And so my freshman year, which was last year, I've only had one interim thus far, but I had the great chance to take a happiness interim. And so it was called Happiness, Nutrition, and Exercise. And all we did for a whole month was learn how to be happy. And so we looked at how nutrition and exercise played a role in that. So we got to have a nutritionist come and teach us how to make healthy meals in our dorm with just, you know, our microwave and a fridge. We went to hot yoga. We tried to find goat yoga, but we could not find goats, unfortunately. So that did not happen, but we got to do a bunch of other cool stuff. And so, yeah, and I'm very much looking forward to this interim. Haven't decided what I'm doing yet, but there are a bunch of options either on campus, of course, as they say, great travel opportunities. And I think this year I'm going to try to do an internship. So that'll be super exciting.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm hoping to get some tips on how to be happy at some point. Some other opportunities for you to get into is we have our travel abroad opportunities. A lot of students treat this as if it were a taste test to see if they want to travel abroad for an entire semester. Students have gone to over 70 countries on all 7 continents. And yes, that's including Antarctica. We actually had a student a few years ago We had a partnership with National Geographic, was able to go down there and study penguins. So if that's your cup of tea, have at it. I'm not necessarily a fan of the cold, so I'm gonna just let you do your thing. But a few other opportunities you might have available to you are if you want to go to Italy and learn how to make pasta, that's on the table. If you want to go to Thailand and learn about the geology and wildlife of that region, that's on the table. Another option is if you want to go to Costa Rica, learn how to scuba dive and also learn about the biodiversity of that region. So there's many different ways for you to just go and explore the world, see what it has to offer, and it really encompasses that liberal arts experience we want to provide for our students. The goal of it is to develop you into a more global citizen, and that's really what we try to do here at Wofford College. Also, we encourage our students to get into internships. The goal of this is to expose our students to the professional realities they want to see themselves in after they graduate. So a few examples are several of our students are pre-med or biology majors, so they'll often want to get more experience in the medical field. We have Spartanburg Regional right behind campus, where there's opportunity for internships and opportunities to shadow various doctors, whether that's a surgeon, a pediatrician, a physician assistant, or anybody like that. We always encourage students to look into that. Several students are also involved in the pre-law program you have available. There are several law firms in Spartanburg where if you want to get a better idea of what it's like to work in that field, you have the opportunity to do so by way of the partnerships we have in place here at Wofford College. Now, these internships are not limited to Spartanburg or South Carolina or the US for that matter. If you want to go and do some research on fashion design in Milan, have at it. We're not going to stop you. We'd be glad to help you coordinate that sort of thing. Or if you just want to go home, and whether that's in Greenville, Columbia, or Charleston, you have the flexibility to do that. The goal of this is to, like I mentioned earlier, expose our students to the professional realities they want to see themselves in after they graduate. We also want our students to have an idea of what they want to do on the front end, rather than figure out 20 years down the road, this is not really what they want to do. So that's kind of the goal of that. We also have independent studies, which is a bougie way of saying you can create your own interim project, all right? So you're gonna do with this with the advising of a faculty member here at Wofford College. An example is a pair of my roommates, they wanted to go to Germany, but there was no Germany travel abroad project in place. So they literally created their own project. They went to places like Berlin, Munich, and Stuttgart. While they were over there, they journaled about their cultural experience, then came back and did a presentation on that. Now, my favorite example of an independent study project was a young lady a few years ago. She was a psychology major and also an avid fan of the TV show Friends. So what she did was she watched all 10 seasons of that series, which is really beyond me. But she psychoanalyzed each of those characters and then did a presentation on their personalities. So if you want to watch TV for academic credit, I encourage you to keep us on your radar, guys. All right. So I'm going to go a little more in depth about studying abroad here at Wofford and our international programs available to students. As you can see, we've already discussed how students have traveled to over 70 countries on all 7 continents. And because of that, we're actually ranked 8th in the country for students traveling abroad for academic credit. We definitely take pride in that fact because that's across all colleges and universities in the country and not just liberal arts institutions. So definitely keep that in mind. Your travel abroad experience can look very different wherever you go. If you decide to go to Spain, you might be living in a background checked host family's home just so that you're embedded in that culture. If you go to Germany, you might be living in a hostel, or if you prefer, you can stay on an international college campus just to ensure that you have that customability to your own study abroad experience. Now, along with that, we make sure that your courses that you take overseas transfer back to Wofford with no problem. What we do to ensure that is we work with third-party organizations to make sure that there's no issue with you having those courses transfer back to make sure your major requirements are met. And we definitely take pride in our graduation rate. And I know this is corny what I'm about to say, but I always tell people that Wofford is a lot like my mother in the sense that she tells me she loves me, but she always reminds me, I got to get out the house at some point. We're the same way here at Wofford. We're going to love you. We're going to take care of you, feed you, educate you, and all that good stuff. But once it comes time for your senior year, and it's about time for you to cross that stage, we feel that we have done our part in preparing you to succeed, whether that's you going straight into the workforce or going to a graduate program. That's something you definitely keep in mind if you want to go to an institution that prepares you to succeed off the rip. Along with that, 100% of your financial aid travels with you, meaning that a large percentage of the time, the cost of a program overseas costs less than that of tuition here at Wofford College. With that being the case, your expected family contribution and your financial aid will be taken into account. And those excess funds will be mailed back to you. It can be treated as pocket change while you're overseas, which is a really cool perk. Now, on the chance that you do participate in a program that costs more than anticipated, We do have travel grants available to alleviate that financial strain to the best of our ability. We really don't want finances to be a hindrance to a student having that study abroad experience. We all understand how transformative it can be, and we don't want that to be a barrier for students to have that. Mackenzie, did you have any intentions of traveling abroad at some point? I didn't want to leave you out.
Yes, so I always find this funny because technically I am studying abroad now, but I am planning on doing an abroad. So because I'm a Spanish major, it's part of my degree requirement that I spend a semester in a country that speaks that language, so aka speaks Spanish. And so I am planning to study abroad next year in Spain. So I had the wonderful opportunity in high school to study abroad in South America, fell in love with it. So I can truly attest to the study abroad experience and the way that you learn in such a deeper way. And so going to Wofford and going into college study abroad was a #1 priority for me. So yes, but because I'm double majoring and because again, Wofford makes it so accessible and so feasible to travel and study abroad, I'm actually looking at pursuing a year abroad next year, 1 semester in Spain and 1 semester in the UK for my English degree. So fingers crossed that all of that works out, but I'm so excited. And yeah, it's awesome because here at Wofford, they match a program to you, not you to a program. And so what that means is we're not going to try to fit you into a certain box so that you have to do this program. We want to find a program that suits all your interests. So the best example I can give of this is a very common double major here is Spanish and biology pre-med. And there is a great program in Santiago, Chile, where it's a public health program, but it's in a Spanish-speaking country. So it's that melding of the two interests so that you get to explore both paths. And so I think that's super great. So yes, I'm super excited to hopefully go abroad next year.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us, Kenzie. All right. So actually, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and let you take this one too, Mackenzie, if you don't mind.
I do not mind at all. Talking about Wofford is my favorite thing to do. So student life, I'm a student and this is my life. But there are so many things for you to do while you're on campus here. 94% of our students live on campus all 4 years as it says there, but what that actually means is that we are a tight-knit community. One of the best examples I can give of this is I came in as a freshman last year and meeting new people all the time. And one of the really cool things that a group of senior girls did to get to know the freshmen is they hosted something called Saturday morning pancake breakfast. And for some reason here at Wofford, we have a lot of group chats, okay? Just all the group chats you can imagine. And so seniors would text in the freshman group chat and they would alternate between their apartments on Saturday mornings and just let freshmen come to their apartment, eat. They made us pancakes and we would just get to know one another. So that's what all of us living on campus means, is that you get to have that really tight-knit community. You get to have the most fun experiences. And then you also can join student organizations. So we have over 100 student organizations, which means more than likely there is something there for you. And even if you cannot find something that interests you in those 100 or more options, you can make your own organization. So if underwater basket weaving is your thing, then go ahead and make a club for it and then get more people to be interested in it. My friends actually wanted to start a club this year and they did. They're officially chartered. And so that's an option for you. We have anything from intramural sports to club sports. And then we also have things like Wofford Women of Color. We also have things like a knitting club. So really anything and anything that you want to do, you can find here at Wofford. We are a D1 school, and although I can't speak much about athletics because I firmly belong in the theater and art world, one thing I will say, especially from that perspective of not being an athlete myself, is that it's so cool here at Wofford because of the size we are, but yet we are D1, that going to a game means so much more, because this isn't just, the athletes at your school who happen to be on the basketball team. These are your lab partners. These are the people that live across the hall. These are your friends. And so it's so cool that you get to have that small classroom size and get that one-on-one learning, but then go to a game and have that big D1 school spirit where everyone is like screaming and it's the best time. And then lastly, of course, we do have Greek life here. It's a pretty 50-50 even split. So 50% participate in Greek life, 50% don't. And I will say very candidly, then here at Wofford, it really doesn't make or break your experience. So for example, I will share that I am not affiliated with Greek life, but my roommate and my suite mates and all my best friends are, and they absolutely love it. But even though I'm not involved, I still go to their events and support their philanthropies. And so really it is up to you. And if you'd like to find out more about any of this, you can look on our website about specific clubs and specific Greek organizations. And so I highly recommend doing that.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so now we're going to get to the fun stuff about the application process a little bit. I'm going to assume most of y'all have heard of the Common App. So it's pretty simple. It's an internet database that allows you to apply to multiple schools at the same time without entering the same information over and over again. It makes it easy on your part and mine as well. But with that, we have 3 different application rounds. First of which is our early decision, which is our binding application, meaning that it's almost contractual. If you know that Wofford is where you want to be, you might want to look into this option. The deadline for this is November 1st, and you're going to receive your information on admission and financial aid in December. So definitely keep that in mind. Next, we have our early action application, which is our non-binding application, which allows more flexibility for you to continue seeking other college options. I usually advocate for this application round because of that. But the deadline for that is November 15th, and you'll find out about your admission decision and financial aid information in February. It still gives you plenty of time up until that May 1 deposit deadline to determine if Wofford is where you want to be for the next 4 years. Lastly, we have our regular decision application, which is simply a later date. The deadline for that is January 15th, and you'll find out about your admission decision in March, as well as your financial aid information. I will briefly go back through those. Your early decision application, the acceptance rate for that is 90%. Early action is a 60% acceptance rate, and regular decision is 30%. So definitely keep that in mind moving forward. All right, so I'm going to give a brief rundown of how we evaluate your application. So first, we're going to recalculate your GPA in the 5 core areas of study. That's going to be your math, science, history, English, and foreign language courses. That's not to discredit your weightlifting or your art classes. It's just that we're primarily going to be functioning on consists of those 5 core areas of study. Now, when we do that, we generally go based on a 4.0 scale. But say you are taking advantage of those more rigorous courses at your school, whether it's AP or IB courses, and say you get an A in AP Bio, for example, that's actually going to serve as a 5.0, a 4.0 would be a B, a B would be a 4.0, so on and so forth. So that's our way of addressing that. Next, we're going to look at course rigor, just to see that you are challenging yourself in the classroom. What's going to happen is we'll receive what's called a school report form, which lists out the courses available to you at your school. We'll receive that from your school's guidance counselor. Now here at Wofford College, we're big on making sure that we compare the student to the school rather than the school down the street. I'm a Spartanburg native, and I went to a pretty large high school in Spartanburg that had 3,500 students and 30 plus AP courses. We'll call that school A for now. And there's another school in Spartanburg that has maybe 4 or 5 AP courses available to them. We'll call that school B. So to ensure that I'm not rewarded or penalized for the availability of those courses, I'm only going to be compared to the students I'm working with at school A. That way I'm not going to be compared to students at school B. Likewise, students at school B are not going to be compared to what I'm working with over here. So that's our way of addressing that. Next, we do ask that you share your activities with us. We want to see what you're active in, what you're involved in, what you're passionate about, and what really takes up your time. I think this is a great way for us to get a better understanding of who you are as an individual, since you have a holistic application review. And honestly, you could be anybody. If you have 32 ACT and your name is Johnny Appleseed, the only way I get to know who you are as an individual is if I get to know what you're involved in, what sort of things take up your time and things like that. So if you want to tell us about your student athletic involvement, your student government involvement, maybe community service is a big part of your life, or maybe you have a part-time job. We love seeing those sort of things because they each show maturity and responsibility, and they're both prerequisites to succeed at the college level. So definitely keep that in mind. Also, we do require an essay for your application. I know students don't love to hear that, but this is probably the most direct way for you to tell me who you are as an individual. I've already touched on it, how It can be anybody if you have a 32 ACT. But this is a great opportunity for you to advocate for yourself, brag on yourself a little bit. I love seeing students tell me a little bit about their story a little bit. I love seeing the students tell me, man, there might have been a life event that has occurred in their life that has shaped who they are at some point. I don't want to see some growth, some character development or anything like that. Just tell me the story of you to the best of your ability. I will add that I know it's easy to talk about how great your friends are, how awesome your parents are, but please remember this application is your application, so this essay is your essay. So advocate for yourself, brag on you, remember this is an opportunity for you to stand out and show what you can contribute to the Wofford family. Now, I will also add that we have a Why Wofford essay, which is optional. You can simply provide a simple 2 to 5 sentences explaining your interest in Wofford, why you feel like you'd be a good fit, and what you believe makes you a really great asset that you can be at the part of the Wofford community. I encourage students who are serious about Wofford to do this because we want to enroll students who want to be at Wofford. We just want to make sure that reciprocal relationship is present. Lastly, we do have a test optional policy here when it comes to Wofford College for admission. And that's simply because we don't want our students to feel that they are defined by a number. We understand that some students aren't great test takers. I certainly wasn't one. Some students have test anxiety, and sometimes you just have a bad day. We don't want to penalize students for that. What we generally tell our students is, if you feel that your test score displays who you are in the classroom, then feel free to share that with us. If you don't feel that your test score displays who you are, feel free to leave it out. We're not going to penalize you. We have made this decision to be a test optional school on the basis of research. Your high school GPA is much more indicative of how you perform at the college level compared to your standardized test scores. So that's because we're talking about 4 years of performance versus 4 hours. So it makes more sense for us to show love to a GPA that shows consistency and your ability to succeed in the classroom. So that's kind of the philosophy behind that. Also, you see that we also expect, not only say expect, but you do have the opportunity to share letter of recommendations, kind of just like a cosign on your character. And we love to hear a few stories from your counselors, maybe your coaches. So definitely share those sort of things with us. We love hearing them. All right, so I'm gonna leave this part to the lovely Miss Carolyn Sparks.
Thank you, Dalton. Thank you, Kenzie, for all of your great student side of things. It's a pleasure to be here this evening, and we appreciate you spending time with us tonight as we talk about a place that the three of us have a great passion and love for, just like everybody else that's on this campus as well. So, but a few things I just want to highlight a little bit about, specifically things that Wofford offers in terms of institutional aid and how all that plays out when you are applying for admission, as well as applying for financial aid. And so before I really get started into the slide here, today is October the 8th. The FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, has been available for exactly 1 week. And so we have a priority deadline for our students applying for early action and regular decision to have their FAFSAs completed by January 1st. For early decision, we ask that they have that done by December 1st, I believe, so we're able to provide your financial aid information to you in a timely manner so that you're able to make a good financial decision with your family, because we do also believe that, you know, financial fit is very important, just like the academic fit, the social fit, the personal fit. However, whatever you're looking for in a college, on a college campus and in a college campus. So please know that, you know, we want to be a part of that decision too, in helping you find as much financial aid as possible. And scholarships, merit scholarships and athletic scholarships, those are all considered sources of financial aid. So, and some folks will say, I don't qualify for any financial aid. We're not going to qualify. But I would encourage you to do the FAFSA to get kind of a baseline of what your eligibility might be. There are some programs that you would have to fill the FAFSA out for every single year. And so Wofford has some funding here as well that would require that you complete the FAFSA too. But getting to our slide, all of our students are considered for merit scholarships upon application. So we'll get a question a lot of times, you know, what do I need to do next? How do I apply for scholarships from Wofford? So if you're looking for merit or academic scholarships, in other words, we don't require that you complete another application. Your admission application, along with all the details that Dalton just described to you, are the things that we take into consideration when we're determining what a student might qualify for through merit and academic scholarships. So that's a good thing. You don't have, that's one less application, one less essay that you might have to write or to complete. 95% of our students do receive some sort of financial assistance, and that does include things like scholarships, student loans, need-based grants, and work study opportunities. The next bullet there talks about our average aid package. And so since we're currently in the 2021 academic year, we can't give you an average for this year, but based on the year that we completed back in the spring, the average aid package is about $35,000. And again, that includes scholarships, grants, loans, and work studies. So it's the whole shooting match, if you will. Some students don't receive the average financial aid package, and some students receive more than the average aid package. So that's something to keep in mind pretty much anywhere that you're looking at, but especially here at Wofford. Because Wofford is a private liberal arts institution, our costs are going to be a little more than what you might find at some of our state-supported schools or some of your state-supported schools if you were dialing or calling in from to North Carolina this evening. So our comprehensive cost for the current year is $61,440. And that includes your tuition and fees and room and board. So you can go to class, you can eat in the dining hall, and you can reside in our residence hall. So that it's what we call our comprehensive cost, because it covers pretty much everything except some of the incidentals that you might encounter while you're enrolled in college, such as books and travel expenses, personal expenses. And a lot of times that's really going to depend how much you spend on those non-comprehensive costs. Really just depends on what your style of living is. You may be very frivolous and spend like there's no tomorrow. And then you might be very frugal and be very careful in the amount of money that you spend while you're in college. And that's okay. That's certainly a personal choice. But our tuition and fees, room and board are set cost every year here at Wofford as well. And that's true at every institution. Some schools, may not have tuition increases from year to year, but in most cases, that's what you would encounter. Dalton, can you slide the next one for me, please? I should have asked for that. I'm sorry. So some of our other scholarship opportunities, we talked about Wofford Scholars, and that is the group of students who have been identified by guidance counselors who've met certain GPA, class rank, and test scores. And so they come here on campus and usually do. This year we're going to be doing that virtually, of course. But they have the opportunity to come to campus, interview with faculty, fellow students, and alum of the college. And that gives us an opportunity to help us know if you're a good fit for Wofford, as well as giving you the opportunity to decide if Wofford is a good fit for you. And I know that you might hear the fit word a lot while you're going through this process, but it is one of the most important factors that you're going to be considering when you make your final decision about where you're going to spend the next 4 years. And I loved Dalton's analogy of, his mother saying, "I love you, but it's time to move on." That's one thing that Wofford is very proud of, is that the majority of our students do graduate in 4 years because we realize that college is expensive, and we don't want you to waste any more time of your life that perhaps you could be earning money, is what your parents definitely want you to be doing when you graduate from college. Unless, you may be wanting to pursue graduate or professional school, and that's perfectly fine. And we do certainly have a lot of students who have that interest as well. But know that we do try our very best for the majority of our students to graduate in 4 years, because there is a financial impact if you don't. So Wofford Scholars is our top scholarships that we have for first year students. And so I can't say that your admission application is the only application you have to fill out for scholarships, because the next 3 that are listed here are ones that would require a separate application. And so our Bonner Scholars Program is a community service driven program here at the college. And so it also requires that a student demonstrate financial need. And so your question might be, well, how do I know if I demonstrate financial need? And the answer to that question is to complete the FAFSA. That's what we have to be able to determine that. And I don't want to beat that in the ground, but it really is something to keep in mind anywhere that you're going, but especially at Wofford if you're wanting to be considered for some other scholarships besides what Wofford offers in terms of merit. And so each year we have about 15 students who are selected for the Bonner program. And we normally have anywhere between 75 and 100 applications for that. So it's a pretty competitive program. And in previous years, I have known us to have 150 applications for that program. So again, very competitive. 15 students would be in that cohort and would stay in the Bonner program all 4 years. Our Gold Scholarship is brand new, hot off the press, so to speak. And so if you don't mind, I want to read the description off of our website because I want you to get an idea of how big and how important this is to us as an institution in recruiting and helping students afford coming to Wofford. And so the Gold Scholarship, and GOLD is an acronym for Growing Our Leadership Through Diversity, but also include equity and inclusion. But we kind of thought Goldie Scholarship might seem a little unusual for a scholarship name. But the Gold Scholarship is awarded to incoming first-year students from historically underrepresented populations who have exhibited strong academic achievement, leadership with civic engagement, and potential to contribute to the Wofford community and beyond. Selected recipients of the Gold Scholarship will receive awards of $5,000 per year, and it is renewable. And it would also stack, if you will, stack onto Wofford Scholars if you qualified for that. So that would be in addition to any merit aid that you may qualify for. And it does have a separate application. The Launch Scholarship comes from our Office of Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And this provides students with scholarship support to discover, develop, and direct their entrepreneurial talents towards the creation of a viable business or social venture. Students get the opportunity to have critical thinking, problem solving, and communication skills. And it doesn't matter what their major is for that. And we combine those interests to create economic and social impact. And when I talk about this next, after I talk about performing arts, I really would like for Kinsey to talk about the Launch program because she has her own business that she has launched while she has been here at Wofford as well. But Performing Arts Scholarship is exactly what it sounds like. And so for students that might have a musical or theatrical interest, but also we do have studio arts scholarship opportunities as well. So that would be something that you would be able to work out through auditions or submission of portfolios to our studio arts program. We have a relatively new, beautiful, state-of-the-art fine arts center on campus that is just something to behold. And so those students that are in the arts programs would be taking full advantage of all the facility opportunities that that particular building has on campus. So, but the Bonner, the Gold, and the Launch Scholarships also have deadlines for those, and they're January 4th, which would be the Monday after the new year. So we kept them all on the same date. It's very unusual for students to be in the Bonner and the Launch Scholarship programs, but the Gold Scholarship, you know, could be included in other financial aid and scholarship opportunities. So, and I think that was my last slide, if I'm not mistaken. Dalton, is that right? Thank you. Kinsey, do you want to talk about your venture right now? And then I'll check and see if we have any questions at this time.
Yes, very quickly, because I know we're about to have to say goodbye to you all, unfortunately, but very quickly about the Launch Scholarship. So yes, I am a member of the Launch program, and so our aim in the program is in the 4 years that you are here, you launch your own business. You don't need to come in knowing what you want to do. You can just come in with a passion to learn more and a passion for entrepreneurship. And so I came in my freshman year not knowing at all what I wanted to do. I just, in my senior year of high school, realized I had a big passion for menstrual equity. And so I really wanted to start an initiative or something that got me helping solve that problem in the world. And so I came in, took our first year foundations course, ended up meeting my co-founder in January. And then in the midst of a pandemic and possibly one of the hardest times for small businesses to exist, we launched our own business. We are called Sewing Empowerment Every Day, or SEED, as we like to call ourselves. And so we launched in March. We officially registered as a legal LLC in May. And we just last week hosted our very first on-campus event, which was the empowerment photo shoot. And so basically the whole premise of our business is that we seek to empower people across the world, and we do that in two ways. On one end, we work with local artisans across the globe to produce a product with them. So far we have stuck to jewelry, and so we've worked with artisans here in South Carolina, but also over in Haiti. And so what we do is we design a product, and then on the other end, when we sell the product on our website, a portion of the proceeds goes to support a cause that we care about. So for example, one of our first products, the Bloom bracelet, proceeds of that went to the World Health Organization's COVID Solidarity Response Fund. Things that are in the works right now, we are looking to support menstrual equity, human trafficking, and right now though, our current program partner for our mantra bracelet is a wonderful organization called Black Girl Smile, and they provide mental health programming to young Black women at a very accessible or free of cost. And so that's just a little bit about my business that I've built with the launch program. It's fantastic, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that if any of you have them.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Do you have any questions here? All right, we have a question asking, with the whole COVID pandemic, will Wofford allow on-campus residence and education? As of right now, we are having, I guess you can say, a version of a hybrid experience right now for our students. So right now, largely our general education courses, those are being held remotely, but the more specific courses, like for example, if you're a psychology major, you're taking personality or neuroscience psychology, something like that, you're likely taking that class in person. Your biology labs are in person. So that's our way of addressing that. I hope that helped you. Any other questions we can answer for y'all? I'm here all day. Just let me know. All right, let's see. There's still no questions, so I guess that is it on our part. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, guys. If anything else does come up, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We'd be glad to help with any questions y'all might have. Again, thank you so much for having us tonight, and I'll turn it over to our StriveScan host to close it out for us.
All right. Once again, thank you for joining us this evening for this session. We ask that when you close out your browser window, you complete the quick 4-question survey that should appear. In addition, feel free to sign up for more sessions that can be found on CACRAO's website at cacrao.org, and a recording will be made available within about a week after the session has concluded on CACRAO's website. Take care and have a wonderful night.